What's up, guys? If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Also, please smash that like button on the video and enjoy the show.
And then on both sides of the road, there were these big, like what we would call like wadis, like basically drainage ditches. So it made it nearly impossible for our vehicles, if we wanted to pull off of the road and go into the field, we would have to go to a crossover, like a road or a bridge area to get over these things to be able to go get these guys if we want to stay in the vehicle. And so we're driving down same night, and all of a sudden, I just hear a massive kaboom, and the shock and the energy wave that just goes through. Go back to the training. All of the stupid cops and robbers in the woods, every single person in that convoy immediately starts screaming out, IED, IED, IED. You didn't even think. It just, the training kicked in, and you're just like, holy shit, somebody just blew up one of the vehicles. And so very quickly, we basically were the first vehicle in the convoy that had a weapon system on it that could actually defend us. And so without kind of explaining too much of the detail, basically we maneuvered ourselves near the front of the convoy, and there's a vehicle in the back that maneuvers. And so now we've got basically 180 degrees in the front. They've got 180 degrees in the back. The vehicle's in the middle. They're looking out each side. And we've created essentially a little bit of a circle that we're going to try to figure out what's going on here. Now, when IEDs go off, there's one of two options you have. You can basically stay in place, and you can try to figure out what's going on, right, and try to locate the people, et cetera. Or if an IED goes off and immediately it's a complex ambush where people start to shoot as well, one of the best defenses is just what they call get off the X, just get out of the kill zone, right? They've set everything up to try to kill you in this one area. If you get out of the area, they can't kill you, right?
That's right.
And so no one was shooting. So bomb goes off. It's the Husky. There's a gentleman that's in there. The vehicle literally gets lifted up almost perpendicular to the ground and slams back down. Only thing he suffered, concussion.
That's it.
The engineering of these vehicles are incredible, right? I mean, think of a roadside bomb that is buried in the road. He ran it over. They correctly set it off right underneath his vehicle, and he got a concussion.
Now, wait, so you got someone in there, and was he knocked out, I guess?
No.
Or?
Because you're trying to assess the situation, right? Again, he's on his own. And so there's this element of a lot of times what you're trained in the military, and it's very, it's not applicable a lot of times in business because you're not talking about physical kind of security or safety. But let's say that you're in a firefight, and if somebody is laying out in the middle of an area and they're wounded, if I run out there and I go and try to save them before I've neutralized the threat and I get injured, now we got two guys that are injured. So a lot of times it's actually better for you to fight, neutralize the threat, and then go get them, right? And there's a rule in the military that for every one wounded soldier, it takes two to carry them. Yeah. So if you take one out of the fight, you actually took three of them out of the fight. And so again, what you're doing is the training takes over. I know this guy, unless he is dead, he's going to be okay. He's got tourniquets, he's got the ability to communicate, and he's in a vehicle that's built to go through this. Our job is not to look inwards. Our job is to look outwards right now. Find these guys. So we find these idiots running through the field and call it in. Immediately command is like, what happened?
Oh, I don't know. We got fucking blown up.
Right? And to the credit of the people who are in the convoy, they're all amped up. Like somebody just tried to kill somebody, right? Like they're ready to fucking go. But the command back at the base is like, are you sure? And they don't have eyes on. They can't see anything, right? They're like, are you sure it was an IED? Like, fucking yes, we're sure, right? And so it was the first mission we were on also where tempers flared. And you could tell that, like, almost think of it as like the middle management and the executives. They're going to butt heads now, right? Because the middle management's like, I understand the problem. I have visual confirmation of what happened, what is happening, and I'm trained to go do something.
And they're like, did the doctor touch you in the wrong area?
They're like, yo, if you do something stupid, like you could go to jail because now everyone's freaking out about Americans, shooting people. And so eventually we get permission to fire. And now the Striker has a 50 caliber gun on it. And that gun has almost like a video game type joystick. And he's able to switch between night vision and thermals and all this stuff. And so he fires. Doesn't hit anything. Oh, shit. Imagine trying to hit a couple 100 yards away, two dudes running through in the middle of the night, and they're moving. And you basically got a joystick and you're trying to hit them. So you can't shoot where they are now. You got to shoot where they're going to be.
Yes.
So now you're playing it literally like a video game, right? And so he eventually gets closer and closer and closer, and then shoots. One guy goes down. Second guy keeps running. And so as this is all happening, we've called in what is called a quick reaction force. And so in that quick reaction force, their job is to show up and basically bail you out of shit. They know they're coming because something happened, right? Their job is to show up and bring immediate violence of action to help us go from what could potentially be a fair fight to now it's an unfair fight in our advantage, right? And so those guys are showing up right as all this is happening. And so a bunch of guys get out of the vehicles. They walk down and they're trying to find it. Because remember, the vehicles have a hard time getting down there. They get online. And as they get online, they start to walk through a field. And it's a wide open field with trees at the end. And they walked into an ambush. And so basically, as they're online walking through the ambush, as they're walking, all of a sudden somebody starts shooting at them. And they all hit the ground, jump back up, return fire, shoot, jump back up, return fire again. At some point, one of the guys doesn't get back up. This guy named Sergeant Baum, he's part of the QRF force, and he was shot right in the head. And probably there's two things that happened that day that I don't think people quite understand. And it's kind of on the maybe like the opposite ends of the barbell in terms of what American soldiers have to do in war. On one hand, you have an American soldier who runs over to Sergeant Baum. He basically starts administering first aid while still firing back because he's in the middle of an ambush, right? And so insular, trying to take care of his soldiers. He doesn't know this guy. He literally has never met this guy before, right? But that guy showed up to save him. And so administering first aid while shooting back, incredibly heroic. At the same time, eventually, American soldiers push through the ambush. They get down into the trees, and they find the guy. It's one guy who is the second person who had not yet been hit, and he was the one who was firing at them.
So one guy was ambushing from the trees.
Because basically, you couldn't tell, right? It's still kind of it's still nighttime. He's just spraying.
He's a ghost.
All this. And I always say that if I had been the soldiers who walked up to him, I pray I was as good as men as they were. I don't know if I would have been. They didn't kill him. They would have every right to do it, right?
What'd they do?
They captured him. And they called in a helicopter to airlift Sergeant Baum out, and they put that guy on the same helicopter, and they saved his life. And so when you look at that, you say to yourself, man, that is the challenge American soldiers have on the battlefield, where we watch videos every single day of brutality, of torture, of violations of the Geneva Convention. That's commonplace. This is war, right? When the American people think of war, they think of it from the perspective of, oh, it's like playing Risk, right? Like, oh, we just move some troops over here. Like, no, this is fucking savages trying to kill each other, and they will stop at nothing. And so in that situation, those soldiers saved this dude's life who just tried to kill them. And that guy ended up having an amputated leg. Later on, our leader of our squad, basically like my boss, he had to go to court and testify in Iraqi court that this was the guy who did it. And when he came back, I remember asking him, I said, what did you think? And he said, I sat there the entire time and I thought about pulling my knife out and slicing this dude's throat. Fuck this guy, right? But again, human emotion, everyone has. But the ability to control it, to be a professional, to understand where the line is, that is what Americans are held to the standard.
Yes.
And so that whole situation, you look at it and you're like, man, that is not something that other countries normally have to be held to that standard. And so it changes the battlefield, because now what you have is you have the ability and violence of action to do certain things, but it's like doing it with CNN having a camera on you at all times and being like, I'm going to play Monday morning quarterback and make sure, you shouldn't have done that. Right? Whereas if the roles were reversed, they wouldn't have just killed an American soldier in that situation. They'd have fucking tortured them and then killed them and then paraded them through town, right? And as they did with the Blackwater contractors, would have burnt their bodies and hung them from a bridge.
That's right.
So that's what you're up against, is you're allowed to have brutality and do your job, to align.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.